Hey, good morning. Happy Friday, people. How's everybody doing this morning? Hello, 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 hello. Oh my gosh. So we are looking so much better. I probably could even afford to turn my little light down, but you know what? We're going to roll with it like this. How's everybody stinking Friday going? It is Friday, people. It is the end of the week. We made it through. We are getting to some conversations today. Today, we are going to be talking about a little bit of an intro to influencer marketing today, all week long. I have been coming here 9 a.m. Central Standard Time with you guys, and we have been talking about adding multiple streams of revenue or adding multiple streams of income. Happy Friday, Greta, to your revenue mix. And this morning, we want to tackle influencer marketing. So, as always, we are streaming everywhere. You can't hear me? Y'all can't hear me? Hearts on the screen if you can hear me over on Instagram. Hold on, let me turn it on real quick. Oh, I hear it. Maybe hop out and hop back in. I turned it on and I can hear it. All right, here we go. So this morning we are talking about influencer marketing. I am doing good. I am ready for the weekend, ready for vacation. We're talking about influencer marketing and how to break into this, right? So if you are here today and you are a content creator that enjoys the realms of social media, like you like to get after it, you have no problem getting down and having all the conversations. You are working, you have an engaged audience. Um, you are able to create content that people really, really love, and you like being on the interwebs. All right, Instagram, y'all can hear me cool. You like being on the interwebs, then this morning the conversation is for you because if you are not earning from that by way of your own products, if you have them, or you are not working with brands in the way that you want to work with brands, then today I want to share some insight that I have having been in this industry since 2021. Okay. So today we're going to have a very basic conversation for those of you all that are getting started in this area and are really trying to maximize your revenue as far as what you're creating on the internet. We're going to talk business. So, one of the things that you will learn about me is that you will find that I am all about business. I'm very creative. I love the creativity part of it, but I am very much about the business part of it. I want to make sure that even though I am doing some fun stuff and really working in what I enjoy, that the business behind me is on point so that I can make as much money as possible, not having to do and go, so far outside of the boundaries of what I'm comfortable with and I'm not being taken advantage of. So today I want to have a conversation because I want to make sure that you all are running type businesses, even though you're creatives. Okay. It's one thing to come to the internet and make content for us all to enjoy. It's another thing to be well paid and be comfortable because there's nothing worse than being in a position where you are showing up on the internet, having all of this beauty and putting all of this stuff out, but you're miserable because you can't pay your bills. So today we want to make sure we are tightening that up. Okay. So today there's going to be a few things that we're going to do. I'm going to give you 5 things that you need to know before you get started as an influencer. We're going to talk about how to position yourself to be found. Yesterday, we talked a lot about pitching. If you missed that conversation yesterday, then you want to make sure that you go back over on YouTube and catch the conversation yesterday, because yesterday we talked about how you go after the contracts that you want. But today we're going to talk about how you get in position to be found. We're going to talk a little bit about the benefits, the pros and cons of this industry, because they are they're there. Like, there are pros and there are cons to this. And then I'm going to have a special invitation at the end of this broadcast that will bring you into my world, where if you like what you heard today and you want to get some additional coaching, you can get so. let's talk about a little bit of housekeeping before we hop in. All right. So, for those of you all that are already in the K Club, y'all know I'm going on vacation next week. So, next week we still gonna be streaming. It's still going to be 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, but it will be pre recorded stuff. But for those of you all that are in the K Club, today I am going to be tagging you because there's going to be a couple of assignments that I want you to work on while we're gone. One is going to be for your service side of your business, and two is going to be for a conversation we had earlier this week about creating digital products. So I'm going to activate you a little bit this week inside of the club just so you can be working on some stuff to further move you further along than what we're just talking about here in our live broadcast every day. For those of you all that are like, well, what the hell is the K Club? The K Club is my vault where I put all of the replays of what we discuss each and every day inside of the vault. But at the end of the week, I come back with additional resources, whether it be templates, checklists, demo videos that help you understand how to get this done. While we're here for an hour during the week, it's a bunch of theory, but you get the practical inside of the K Club. Right now, the K Club is $7 a month through the end of March. You have to use the code March25 at checkout in order to get the $7 a month. So make sure you do that. And then after March, it'll be a completely different price. But once today is over, I'm going to do some recording for you all inside the K Club, and you are going to have some stuff to work on while I'm out, in addition to the videos that will be broadcast live next week while I'm out. Outside of that, if you are following me over on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notification so that you don't miss updates when I upload, when we go live. We are doing some additional uploads over on the YouTube channel too, especially by way of technology to show you how to get some stuff done. So that's all of my housekeeping for now. If y'all are ready to get started, go ahead, put some hearts on the screens, drop some ones in the comments, and let's get into this conversation. All right. So, if you are trying to be an influencer, you want to get into influencer marketing, you want to really start to earn an income from the content that you're creating online, and you don't know where to start, there's some things that I want you to think about personally before we start talking about how to get found. Okay. So, in yesterday's conversation, we talked about defining like your audience and knowing how you're going to create, what type of content you're going to create. And influencer marketing is no different. So, as a content creator, where you're just creating content on your own accord, you're doing it because it's what you like and it's how you kind of engage your audience, you want to get a little bit more defined in your process as far as the industries that you're going to work in. Because just like yesterday, when we talked about pitching, you're going to need to be able to provide examples of your work and showcase your best work based off of what you've already done when you start to position yourself to be found. So, if right now you're just kind of creating content just because it's what you enjoy, but there's not really a real method to your madness, you're just kind of freestyling, we're going to have to do a little bit more work to get really focused and drill down on what type of content creator you're going to be, because this is going to help you define yourself when you start positioning yourself to be found, so that when PR agencies or influencer agencies are looking for content creators, they start to evaluate you based on how you position yourself. So when we say positioning yourself, if I go to your Instagram or your TikTok, what is the majority of the content that I'm going to see? And this is important because we're talking about influencer marketing. So when we're talking about influencer marketing, brands are going to pay us to create content to post on our own social platforms. And when they pay us, when they make the investment in the content that we're going to create, they want to know that the audience that you are creating the content for is going to be primed for it. Because despite what a lot of us believe, when brands start paying us as influencers, especially now, they're looking for conversions. They want to know that when you post this content to your profile, that somebody's going to do something. And in order for somebody to do something, in order for that to be effective, you're going to have an audience that is primed for what you're getting ready to share. So sometimes can be a little bit challenging for content creators that are moving into influencer marketing because up until we start thinking like a business, we're just creators. We're just kind of creating art and doing some things that we love and just pooling a whole bunch of people based on various things. But when we start moving into influencer marketing, we have to really define our audiences and define our content mix as far as the industry is concerned, so that brands are going to be more willing to pay us for the content to create and post on our platforms. Doesn't mean you have to go out and find another audience. It just means you have to make sure that what you're creating is going to be in a vertical that brands are going to work for. So you want to define that for yourself before you start positioning yourself on these networks to be found. So, one of the things that I want you to do as you start to review kind of yourself today is I want you to go back and look at your Instagram profile. And I want you to say, if somebody were to find me today and want to pay me for content, what would they think I would be known for? Like, what does my bio say? My interests are? What does the pictures, the videos communicate? What do these things say about my industry? And if you're confused, like if you can't narrow it down, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. If you can't narrow it down, then you best believe that somebody that wants to pay you can't narrow it down either. So, one of the things that I always recommend to creators when we start this work before we start to position ourselves to get found is we want to do a little audit of our social platforms and we want to define what industry we want to be in and what we want to be known for. And after we've said, okay, I want to create in the home interiors, the DIY. Thank you, Lolita, the DIY industry. Thank you, Sonia. The DIY industry, the home interiors industry, or I want to be a beauty influencer. I want you to go to your profiles and say, um, "Oh, thank you." I want you to go to your profile and say, "You know what? Does this really reflect that?" And if it doesn't, then we're going to take a screenshot of our profile and we are going to use AI to clean this up or to at least give us some thought starters in how we're going to clean this up. Okay. So we're going to screenshot our profiles and we're going to take that screenshot to ChatGPT and we're going to say, "Hey, ChatGPT, I'm an Instagram influencer or I'm an aspiring Instagram content creator and influencer, and I want to create content in these industries." Boom, boom, boom. Um, and I need help in polishing up my profile so that if a company comes to my profile and wants to work with me, I want to make sure that that message is clear. What advice would you give me as far as my bio and the content that you can see on my profile from this screenshot in order to clean it up and see what ChatGPT says? Okay. Lots of times with a polished prompt, and this is just me talking off the top of my head, there's an actual prompt that I kind of write in to do this. Lots of times it will give you advice for your bio, and it'll even give you kind of a simple game plan that you can follow to start creating content. Now, before you go start creating new content, what I want you to do is take what that feedback that you've gotten, and I want you to say, okay, is this already here and it's just kind of disorganized? Like, do I already have this? And I just haven't put it in a place where it's kind of structured and it's really reflective because a lot of times it's not that you don't have it, it's just that it's not structured in a way that communicates the message that you want to communicate. So before you start creating new content, I want you to go to your profile and evaluate what you have there and see if you have what the feedback tells you you need, or if you need to kind of archive some stuff. I'm not going to say delete it because we don't want to delete the analytics, but we do want to archive it and kind of clean up the profile. And if we need to archive and repost and stuff like that, we're going to get our current content underway so that it is reflective of what we want it to be for the brands that we want to work with. That means polishing up our bio. That means making sure our imagery and our videos are in the realm of the areas that we want to work with because this is going to be our fresh start. Okay. Once we have that, if we go back and we say, okay, after this quick little audit, and we say, okay, I ain't got it, then that means you need to go create it. All right. You need to go shoot for it. And if you have not had any experience shooting for it, then you need to ask your AI tool of your choice, Claude, ChatGPT. I use Centra sometimes. Give me some content ideas that I can shoot that'll give me a grid of 9 to 12 posts that are reflective of this, that will be highly engaging for my audience. And you need to get to work. Okay. We're not going to apply for any networks yet. We are cleaning up our profiles so that we can be ready to actually run as a content creator business versus just creating content for our own enjoyment. All right. These changes are not, they're only going to improve the quality of your engagement if you already have it, because your audience already loves you. And one of the questions that I get a lot when I tell people to archive and repost, well, I already posted that. Well, you posted it a month ago. Okay. Or you posted it 3 months ago, 6 months ago. The people that might have been here 6 months ago, 3 months ago, heck, even yesterday, do not remember what you posted 3 months ago. This is about positioning and not only thinking about yourself personally, but making sure you stand out and you are well oiled for people that you're getting ready to go put yourself in front of, to say, hey, I can create content for you. You might have a piece of content that was there that might not have done very well, and you might be able to shoot it again with a different angle or a different approach and improve it and improve the quality of the shot, the lighting, the camera angles, anything. Like, evaluate what you already have before you start shooting new stuff. And if you don't have it, then get some ideas from AI to go and start shooting. Okay. Once you've done that and you're ready, let's assume that you've taken a couple of weeks to clean yourself up. And now that you're ready, now you need to go and find places to put your profile that will allow you to be found by brands. Okay. One of the things that you need to know when you start going to apply for like these creator networks and stuff like that, the reason why we're doing this audit and taking our time before we ever get to the network is that once you get to the network, you're going to start to be evaluated. Like, people are going to start looking at your content that's already there. They're going to ask for examples of content that are there. They're going to ask you questions like, what industries do you create for? So it's best to already have this information done. That's why we're taking a little bit of time on the front end before we ever get to the networks to do this kind of groundwork. So by the time we get there, we're ready to rock and roll. Okay. So now, before you go to the networks, I want to make sure that you have a consistent posting schedule in place. All right. We are going to position ourselves in networks as influencers, and influencers have influence. That means they post, and when they post, people respond. People show up, people take part in the conversations, they're consistent, they are working all the time, like they're present. When you're talking about getting paid for like an organic social media campaign, people want to see that you can get results. Okay. So you can't be like me. You can't be like those of us that are UGC creators and say, oh, I'm going to post once a month. No, 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 no. Unless that once a month post is pulling in engagement like crazy, which more than likely it's not because of any fault of your own, just because these platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they want consistency. They want to see you there all the time. The more you post, the more visibility they provide to you. So just posting once every now and again is not going to be enough. You need to put a schedule in place that is going to allow you to be consistent. Now, a lot of times when we start talking scheduling and consistency, people are like, well, what's the rhythm? How many times should I be posting? So on and so forth. And I don't know that there's a real answer for that. But what I do help people think through is, what am I capable of? What can I commit to that I can do over a consistent basis that trains my audience on what to expect from me? Right. So, I may not be able to post 3 reels a day, but can I post one a day or one every other day? Whatever that attainability is as it relates to your time, making sure that you have quality over quantity is going to be important. So it's a double-edged sword, right? It's half in one hand and half a dozen in the other hand. When I'm saying, okay, you got to be consistent, you got to post more than just randomly, but you also got to make sure that whatever you're posting is the best. Like, if you look at when you shoot, if you look at it and say, is this my best work? Or is this something that somebody would pay for? And the answer is no. Um, you might want to hold off and consider either reshooting or finding another way to create that content so that it is actually received and primed and ready. Okay. Standards for influencers are a little bit different for standards for just those of us that are just chilling, right? We got to put our best foot forward all the time when you're trying to get started because these brands are really looking for quality. Okay. So, another thing that I want you to consider before we start talking about where to go and get found is that as an influencer, when you get hired for these contracts, they're going to come with a contract. Okay. They're going to come with um, content requirements. They're going to request a certain amount of content from you, and they're going to want it done in a certain amount of time. They're going to want drafts submitted that are going to have to be reviewed for approval, and then they're going to want statistics after. Okay. So, one of the things that we're going to have to learn how to do, and we won't dive too much into contracts, but we are going to talk a little bit about contracts, is that you got to understand contracting because there are pros and cons to this. And when we get to the pros and cons section, we'll discuss contracts a lot because it's not going to be just somebody's going to pay you or hire you to work on this. And, you can post it whenever you want to. As an influencer, we get hired based on campaigns, and campaigns are messages, marketing messages, and goals and objectives that have a start date and an end date. So when brands are hiring you, they are trying to accomplish a specific goal based on the content that you're creating, which is why it's important that you understand your industry and your niche. Because I might be a really good DIY creator or home decor creator, but I might suck at creating content for like medicine. You know, you got to know what it is, right? But when they hire you, they're going to hire you based on a campaign. They are going to hire you based on um, a start date and an end date, and based on some goals that they want to have in place in order to accomplish with your content. That content might include having to run paid campaigns from that content. That content might include them promoting it on their social profiles, but all of those requirements are going to be listed in your contract. So know that when you get ready to position yourself on these networks, that you're going to get hired and you're going to have a contract, and you're going to want to know what to look for in that contract, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then fourthly, uh, you need to know that payment terms. We'll talk a little bit more about payment terms at the end when we start talking about pros and cons, but payment terms for influencers contracts vary. Okay. When I first started in this industry, this was one of the things that probably caught me off guard the most, is that I was not familiar with the fact that I would create content and that contract would say I wouldn't get paid for like 60 days. And you need to prepare yourself for that. Because one of the things, and we'll talk about this in a minute, and when we start talking about like the pros and cons, one of the things that you need to know as an influencer, and you know this if you're already creating content, is that you make investments in order to create very good content. It might be purchasing clothes, getting your makeup done, get your nails done, purchasing things to help bring the message to life. Like, you're going to make an investment in order to create this content. It's not just going to be, I'm gonna wake up with the camera and find a corner in my house and shoot. Everything don't work like that. Like, they're going to send you product, and they're going to want you to design around this product on your own dime in order to bring this message to life based off of prior content that you've made. And you may not get paid for a month or two, depending. Okay. So if you know that before you start, then you know how to prepare yourself, because it's going to be in your contract. And I'm not saying this to scare you or to make you not want to do it. I'm just saying that these are the realities of how this works. And if you know this before you get started, before you're like, yeah, I want to jump in, then you are better equipped to deal with what's going to come once you get that contract. Okay. And then fifthly, which is going to lead us into what we're getting ready to talk about as far as being found. You're going to have to build relationships with the agencies that you're going to start working with. Okay. As an influencer, the easiest way to get started, like, there are several different ways that you can work. Some agencies are going out looking for influencers because we have hashtag the type of content that we create influencer, or we've got good engagement. There are tools that go out there and look for influencers and can identify influencers in a creative space that have a specific amount of engagement. But there are also ways that you as the influencer can go and position yourself to be found, and that is going through like networks. When I first got started in influencer marketing, I started in networks. I went and applied to every influencer network I could find, and child, all influencer networks ain't the same, okay? So I'm going to share a few that I have worked with personally, that when I first got started, did very, very well for me and allowed me to get, in front of brands that I actually wanted to work with in the industries that I wanted to work with. Okay. So when I first got started, I started off in the parenting and lifestyle industry. And as time evolved, kind of switched into the home decor and DIY. But if you're like a lifestyle creator, then these networks will do really good for you. One of the first platforms that I went to was Aspire IQ. Okay. Now, Aspire IQ, the way that it works is you'll go and you'll apply to be a part of the network. And when you apply to be a part of the network, all that stuff that we did in the social media audience, by understanding our industry, understanding our niche, knowing what platforms we were going to focus on, all of that stuff is going to come into play now because we're going to have to communicate that to these networks. So you'll go to Aspire IQ and apply to join. When you apply to join, most of the processes for all of these networks is pretty much the same. You'll go, you'll put in your email address that you're going to use to be able to be communicated with, and then you're going to add your social networks. They're going to ask you questions about the type of content that you create. Some of them will ask questions about rates and stuff like that. We'll talk about that in just a second. Some of them will ask questions about rates. Some of them will have rate suggestions available to you based off of your size and the engagement of your network. All of them work different. None of them are the same, okay? Which is also something that you have to kind of be mindful of, is that you don't have as much control when you are applying through networks. The network is kind of like a PR company that the brands push their campaigns to, and then the network does the work to go out and find the creators that can actually accomplish the brand's goals. So they have these kind of like databases of creators where we go and put our profiles on there, and then based on certain parameters, they when they have campaigns that match, they kind of push them to the creators that are on the network. And then from there, the creators can then apply and do kind of like a small pitch on what their creative ideas might be in order to help the brand come to life. The network reviews it, submits it to the brand does the final approval, and then come back and says, hey, we want to work with you, so on and so forth. So when you are applying to the networks initially, it's important that you know as much about what you want to do and how you want to do it so that you can give as much detail as possible, because it's going to create kind of like a profile for you. So on Aspire IQ, you can go to Aspire IQ, submit your profile. You'll pull all of the social platforms in that you are applying to do work on. For me, I do Instagram, YouTube, and then you will be able to kind of define rates, which we'll have conversations about rates at another time, but you'll be able to define rates. And then you'll be able to define the type of content that you can create: photos, short form videos. Creator generated content is something that you'll see some of these platforms looking for now, meaning you'll be able to create and not have to post it on your platform. Do you provide advertising, all that kind of stuff? Like, you'll go through whatever questionnaire it is, you'll submit your profile picture, then it's going to ask you for examples of your work. One of the things that I liked about Aspire IQ, and I don't know how it works now, I have to go on and look, but one of the things that I liked about Aspire when I first started is that they allowed you to pull in examples of your work, and they made almost kind of like this media kit for you on the platform. So it pulled in all of your analytics, your performance from your content, and then you could say, okay, I want this post to be highlighted, this post to be featured, this post to be featured, so on and so forth, to kind of position you in the best light forward, because this is what the brands are going to see when they submit you to the brands. So you take your time and submit that information, and then you wait. Sometimes there's marketplaces that are there that have open campaigns that you can go and apply to. And we'll talk about when you apply, kind of how to pitch in just a second. But for the most part, you want to get set up first. And then once you're set up, kind of learn around the platform. And Aspire IQ was one of the first ones that I ever had any experience with. Some of these platforms will offer free and paid campaigns. I'm gonna leave that up to you on what you want to accept. Some of them have following requirements, audience requirements before you can get accepted. But Aspire IQ was one of the ones that we could get in without having to have the largest audience because they had, a variety of campaigns. Now, I will say that as my audience grew, it became a lot better because the budgets became better when it was really popping. But that was one of the places that I start. One of the places that I use now that I really, really enjoy is Activate by Impact. Now, Activate used to stand on its own. Like years ago, Activate was its own campaign or own influencer network where you could go and apply. But now, if you go to like impact.com, you'll find a lot of both affiliate campaigns and opportunities to get brand deals. And I've used Activate and Impact for years for both purposes. Activate went through a little something, something a couple years ago, and I didn't do too much on it, but it kind of works the same. You go, you apply to be a part of the network, and then you have to create your profile. So all of that auditing and stuff that we did, this is where these things are going to come into play. You go and create your profile and complete all of the different requirements that they're looking for. And then I know with Impact, I don't know how it works for brand new folks, but I know with Impact, because I'm an established creator on Impact, there are some campaigns that you are automatically um, eligible to apply for, and then there are some campaigns that you have to be invited to. But one of the things that I like about Impact is that in addition to like the brand campaigns, you also have like the affiliate marketing campaigns. So if you're looking for products and stuff like that to promote, you can go and kind of look through and see what companies are available for like affiliate programs and do some research and like finding new products to try or present to your audience, stuff like that based on your niche. I enjoy it, but they do have the ability to also run like the brand campaign. So, like, there's companies that I work with where they can do special stuff for their influencers based on how they work with them, where they offer a higher percentage as far as the affiliate campaign is concerned. They put credits in there for you to be able to go and shop. They pay you through the platform. You're able to track the performance. One of the things that I love about Impact that I could not get with Aspire is that on Impact, they give you tracking links and you can actually log in and see the performance of your campaign for yourself, which is very, very helpful because nowadays everybody want to know what you can do for them, right? How you can work. And without being able to see the performance of the work that you're doing, it's kind of hard to tell another brand, hey, I was able to do this if you can't see it. But one of the things that I love about Impact is that no matter if you're working on a paid campaign or if you're doing something affiliate marketing style, if you share a link, you can create links specific to the platform. So I create different links specific for Instagram and specific for YouTube. If I'm doing like affiliate campaigns, if I'm doing influencer marketing, I can see where the traffic came from, how many clicks, how many conversions, so on and so forth. So I can track the performance myself and know whether or not my audience responded the way that I thought they were going to respond. And if this is something that I need to present to them again. This is good for you as an influencer as you are starting to build your analytics and understanding how your audience buys and how they perform. It's good for you to be able to see it, and Impact allows you to see that, which is not something that I can say about most networks. You won't get the analytics. You won't see anything except for what's on your side. And I actually want to see the follow up. Like I want to follow the sales journey from seeing a click come through in my story and actually seeing it. I won't know that that click turned into a sale, but I want to be able to see, okay, based on how many people saw this and how many people clicked through, how many people actually purchased, and was this a successful campaign even for me, right? So that's one of the things that I love, love, love about that. Hey, lady. That's one of the things that I absolutely love about Impact. Okay. Another platform that I've used in the past that was really good, even when I was small, was Sway Group. And what I liked about Sway Group was that it's one of those platforms that is heavy on the lifestyle side. So, like, if you're a parent content creator or something like that, you can go in there and usually find stuff that is available that will meet you, especially for those of you all with small kids. I'm beyond that now. I don't have the little babies to show anymore. But like when my kids were little, like when Morgan was a teeny tot and when Summer was a little baby, y'all, I was cleaning up on family content because there were places like Sway Group that were specifically for family content creators that were influencers that had the campaigns that could get you your foot in the door. Okay. It's one of those places that kind of tells you here's the budget of this campaign based on the size of your audience. And you can determine whether or not you're willing to work for it at that price. I love that about Sway Group, and I love the quality of the campaigns. It was actually stuff that we could use. All of these networks that you're going to go and apply to are going to be places that you can choose whether or not you want to apply to the campaign. What we're doing is going and positioning ourselves to be found and to see what's available to see if we want to do it. Most of the campaigns, any of them on all of these networks will tell you what the budget is. And they'll say, okay, here's a budget that we have. We want this amount of content, and we need the creator to be able to create by this time. If you're able to do it, apply. And then when you apply, you can pitch your idea on what you want to create. And some of them will actually, like there's one we're going to talk about in just a second, will ask you, hey, do you agree to the budget? And if it's no, you can, say why not. But with Sway Group, it was one of those places that as a small creator, even sometimes now I'll get stuff and I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm willing to do something like that. But the campaigns were there, they were consistent, they were nice quality. All of these are not going to be the budgets that you would have if you were like pitching yourself, like we were talking about yesterday. But, if you're already creating for like lotions and products that you're using with your family and you have an opportunity to try something new or get access to something that you would use anyway and what you would do for free you can make some money on, then I don't see why not. But Sway Group was one of those places. Now, unlike Impact, you're not going to be able to see the performance of the campaign. You can ask, but I don't know that they'll give you that type of information. The most that you're going to be, yep, that was my problem. My kids kind of grew out of Sway Group, um, but you're not gonna be able to see the performance of the campaign beyond what you see on your own social media metrics. So you're not gonna really know if anybody purchased or anything like that. And usually there's no affiliate income associated with it either. With Impact, you can negotiate the campaign, and some of them you can negotiate the affiliate income with it because that is the platform for that. But with Sway Group, there's a set budget, um, and it's usually just product and the budget and that's it. And you just get to determine whether or not that budget is fair for the work that it's going to take in order for you to create it. Um, Another one that I liked, that I worked a lot with, haven't worked with them recently, but another one that I liked that I worked a lot with was Acorn. When I was first getting started and got a little bit more established, I initially applied to Acorn not knowing what they were. Like I just applied because I found it. I did like a Google search for popular influencer networks, and Acorn came up. And one of the things that I liked about Acorn was that they had brands, that we were working with at the time that we actually wanted to shop with. So, considering the climate and depending on your personal stance as far as who you're willing to work with right now, you may not be able to find the campaigns that you want with them because I did a lot of work with Acorn with some companies that are not on the happy list right now. But when I was working with them, one of the things that I like is that there are case managers that are assigned to the actual campaign. So you were speaking directly with someone, and usually it was a few of them that you were working with that would give you, sometimes they would have like videos on what the brand was looking for to help you create content. They would sometimes take your pitch and rewrite it to ensure you had greater chances of being accepted for the campaigns. With Acorn, they weren't the best budgets, but they weren't the worst budgets either. Like they were pretty fair. Now, one of the things about Acorn was most of those campaigns paid out 60 days after the campaign ended. So you might have a campaign running where it starts in March and the last person that's going to post for it and the last kind of piece of messaging that's going to go out for it ain't till May. Well, that's the close of the campaign. So if you posted in March, if you were a part of the first round, you got March, April, May, and then 60 days before you get paid. You need to know that when you're looking at these networks and understand how that works when you are looking at your contracts. And I'm not saying this to scare you because this is just kind of what the industry was or what it is. As an influencer, though, you got to be smart and have a mix of networks that you work with. And you'll find sometimes that some of these networks have the same campaign but different budgets. So what I did when I was working with these networks is I would look at the networks and I would compare. I would like log in to different networks and see if the campaigns were there before I would ever apply. And I would apply on the network that had the bigger campaign. And usually the network would be able to get the bigger budget because they had a better reputation and management style. And sometimes it would be one part of the marketing department that was working with this one because they were working with a different type of influencer. So it really, you don't have control over that. It's just a matter of understanding it and being smart about the way that you apply. So Acorn was one that I liked. Once you built relationships with the people, is the price negotiable or the payment terms? So Acorn was one of those places that would ask you, hey, do you agree with the budget? And you could say yes or no. As far as the payment terms were concerned, I don't think that that was negotiable because they would usually have a group of influencers that were working on the campaign, and everybody had to finish up in order for them to close it. So it had something to do. I'm assuming this is an assumption. I don't know for sure, but I'm sure it had something to do with billing as far as their end was concerned on when they could bill and when they could pay out. So, knowing that, helps you understand how you want to work. And I'm not saying all campaigns were like that, but it was a possibility. It could be a possibility. And that was going to be, it's not for every campaign that was listed on the platform. It was campaign by campaign. So one of the things that I loved about Acorn is that they were very detailed about the campaigns. Like you would get a campaign overview, you would get some examples of what the brands was looking for, you would get some examples of you would get some information about the payments, the terms of payments, how long it was going to take. All of the information that you needed before you actually applied was there. So they let you make an educated decision as to whether or not you wanted to do it. And usually, in your application process, what could be negotiable was the price, but as far as the length of terms, I don't think so because they would close the campaign in their books bill, and then I'm sure they had like net 30s that they had to wait on for the brand to pay them, and then they would pay out. So it's kind of complicated when you are working in this because you don't have control. You're not the one that can say, hey, you know, um, I want it this way. You got a little bit more control when you're pitching, but when you're working through the networks, you are almost at the mercy of how their structure is set up. So you want to get with networks that have good structures so that you can get to your coins faster. Now, I will say there was some big budgets that came through Acorn. So that 60-day wait, I'd be like, all right, it's gonna be a nice payout. So sometimes it'd be worth it, but they were clear, they were transparent. Um, and they always paid on time. Most of the time it was early, but I always had payment before they actually said that the payment was going to come through. Another one that I liked, that um, oh gosh, we did Aspire Q, we did Impact, we did Sway Group, did Acorn. What's another one that I used? Collectively was one that I learned about on a affiliate marketing basis. But let me tell you about this. So collectively, if you've been around for a little while, it's something similar to what like LTK is. Okay. And one of the things, but the difference with collectively was you could go and create links as like affiliate links when you didn't know how to get into affiliate programs with the brands directly themselves. So one of the things about like collectively and LTK that I like is that you can go and apply to be a part of the network. You still have to get approved, but then once you're approved, they have access to all these brands that if you have a product that you're using that you want to recommend that you can go and get the link for. Now, if you do it right, which, a lot of us don't always do it right, but if you do it right, you can go, and this is what helped me in Collectively, you can go and get these links, and brands are on Collectively looking to see who's driving traffic and sales. So you might just be doing some affiliate marketing for a brand because it's something that you purchased that you're already using, but they're going to see it because they're on the platform and they're looking at the performance of the creators that are there. And then based on that, they can reach out to you directly through that platform to work on a campaign. Places like LTK and Collectively have gotten a lot more structured as far as their campaigns are concerned. Like, I'm trying to get into my LTK swag bag where I use it a lot more than other platforms because there is specific areas in the platform that are specifically for campaigns, but it's based off of your performance. So if you're intentional about linking from one place, something like Collectively or LTK, if you can be intentional about every affiliate link that you grab, and it's hard because we've got places like Wayfair affiliate program and stuff like that that all offer the same thing. But what you have to determine is what's going to be the easiest for for my audience to purchase through. Everybody know LTK. Not a lot of people knew Collectively, but you can link directly to the product. But the primary deal is linking to the stuff that you own, even if you're just doing affiliate stuff, so that the brand can see it. And then when they see it, they get to invite you into campaigns where you can work directly with them on a more organized basis. But the brands and stuff, the terms and stuff still remain the same. Okay. So LTK, you got to have, sometimes you can get an invite from another creator if you do not qualify on your own. Sometimes if we invite you, it heightens your chance, but you want to make sure that you've got an engaged social audience already. I don't know if the parameters for getting into LTK are a little more strict, or they might be a little bit more loose. I'm not sure what that looks like, but I do know that when you go to the websites for both places like Collectively and LTK, they're going to say, hey, we want you to have a social audience that's engaged. It's not necessarily about the size. They just want to see that people actually are paying attention to what you're creating. And then you get in there and start linking to stuff. And then based on your performance, based on the amount of posts that you create and traffic and stuff like that, you get the opportunity to work with brands. So one of the pros, let's talk pros real quick. Some of the pros to working with these networks is that it allows you the creativity and the flexibility to be able to create in a space that you love. Just like we talked about yesterday when we were talking about pitching, doing this and getting paid for it is fun, right? It's what all of us enjoy doing. So you do get that flexibility and you get to partner with brands that you love. You get to apply. So it's not like, and sometimes they're going to come to you, but you get the choice. It's not like you are automatically applying to enroll in anything. You get to choose. And if you do good work and you're professional and you provide high quality content and you communicate and you respond when people are asking things of you, you have the potential to build long-term relationships with both the networks and the brands. I can't tell you how many times I've been rehired by a brand through a network because the relationship was there. Okay. Some of the cons that we kind of discussed while we were talking is that sometimes brands working through these networks, they just have long payment terms. All right. Um, and it's not really anything that you can control because you're working through an agency that has their structure in place for how they bill. You're kind of at the mercy of how that works. So the best thing to do is to create high quality content and work through a high quality agency. Aspire IQ was one of the places in the beginning that I went to that you would create posts and they would pay almost within a week, right? Didn't matter what the term said, like you were getting your money. Sway was another one that I think within 30 days we used to get paid real good. Impact, you get rolling payments through Impact if you've got affiliate stuff going on, and then the brand will pay within those terms. Usually places like Aspire, Impact, Sway, they're doing pretty good. Acorn, as much as I like them, they're just one of those places where the payment terms are a little longer. So they were one of the ones that you could have a lot of campaigns that you were working on, but you wanted to fill it in with some other networks too, even if the budgets were a little smaller in the other networks. So you had cash flow coming in. It's just being smart while you're working. Another con is that not all of these budgets are fair on every network. Okay. So when you're just getting started, usually you don't really understand how the budgets work. And we don't have enough time to talk through budgets now. And I don't even know if I would talk through budgets openly. I think I would have that conversation in a K Club. Um, but usually, when some brands, like you've got places, I'm not gonna even name them. We'll talk about those in the K Club, but there's some networks that you go through and the budgets, they want you, your family, your left leg, your right cheek, 15 videos and 100 pictures, and they only wanna pay you $500. That's not fair, right? So, you really wanna understand, you wanna look at the networks, review a couple of the campaigns, see what the budgets are coming through, before you just hop in, okay? Um, 'Cause they're not all fair. Sometimes you can negotiate, sometimes you can't. You really wanna be with the agency where you like, "What? No, y'all know better." And sometimes it's the agency, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's the agency taking most of the money, but you gotta be smart about it, okay? Um, Sometimes managing the contracts and the deliverables can be overwhelming. You gotta be organized, okay? It's really important to be super organized, when you're working as an influencer because when you take on multiple campaigns, um you know what? I agree with Aspire. I think that when people reach out to me and they're using Aspire, it's usually good, but I haven't been able to go to Aspire and be like, "Hey," um, I used to be able to go through and pick campaigns and the budgets were there, but now I think brands are using Aspire for reach out and managing the campaigns, but not necessarily in the marketplace, if that makes sense. What's the what I would say? Oh, them contracts and the deliverables. So, if you have multiple campaigns running at the same time, you really got to be organized and you got to stay on top of your stuff and you got to know what each brand is looking for because each contract is going to be different. So, having a way to manage yourself is going to be super, super crucial. I use a project management tool, one that I use in both my service based business and my content creation business that allows me to create a board that has the campaign that highlights the key things as far as like deliverables, timeline, budget, and payment terms in it so I can stay organized. Because if you're really good, people will hire you and you can find yourself up under like 10 campaigns running at a time, and everybody wants something different, and everybody got draft deadlines that are different. So, if you're going to do this, you just want to be organized and have a system to keep you organized so that you don't get overwhelmed. Because what you don't want to do is find yourself always creating content, especially if you're a family creator. This was my family's heartburn when we first started. Like they were working with me to create this content. And at first it started out fun, but then it turned into a job for 3 year olds. And they were like, whoa. And if you are a parent, you know that wrangling up multiple children under the age of like 5 is no fun. So, you want to keep it fun so that you can get the content shot and get it done and it not become something that's super, super overwhelming to you. So, as you're thinking about starting your career or advancing your career in this way, I always encourage folks to start off with the networks, find a good network. That you like to work with and build relationships with them. And you'll become one of the influencers that they'll come to on a regular basis. And then once you are in a network, start learning how to identify opportunities like we talked about yesterday, where you go and pitch yourself because of the work that you've been able to do with the networks. One of the pros about working with the networks, it does allow you to create content to showcase your work because you got to put your best foot forward. So once you have this content that you've gotten paid for, it'll help you create your portfolio on paid work because sometimes people do want to see what type of content you've created for like in exchange for income. And once you have that, then you can have a portfolio that's strong because you have done the work that needs to be done. And then you can go and find opportunities that you want to work with and have a little bit more control over like things like payment terms and budget and stuff like that. So I think getting started, this is an excellent way to go. Um, I think those of us that have been doing it for a little while, we kind of dip our toe in and out just depending on what's going on. But if you understand how to read contracts, You know where to go and put yourself so that you can get found. Um, and then you know how to communicate and build relationships, then you can have a lot of success and then be organized. You gotta be organized. With those things, you'll be able to perform. And don't just take stuff just to take it, because everything that glitters ain't gold. Sometimes you have to really say, okay, you want 3 reels for how much? Like, you gotta be real, especially like, I started off in the family industry, and baby, like, those budgets should be higher than anything else, because those of us that gotta work with children and they attitudes, nobody's looking at the camera at the same time. Like, depending on when you shoot, today I'm happy with being in front of the camera. Tomorrow is get that camera out of my face, but you on contract to get this done in a specific amount of time, child. And let's not talk about husbands that don't want to be in front of the camera, baby. It is a lot of work. So just knowing the amount of work and the amount of time that you're going to have to put into wrangling everybody in. I got to a place where I used to charge extra for my kids. I would charge a little bit extra. And one, because I was putting money aside for them for every campaign that they worked on, they got paid. So it wasn't just about me. But then two, I needed to be paid for my struggles. Like, that's extra. You want me, it's easy for me to show up. It's harder when you've got additional people in the content. So those are my thoughts on how you can get started in influencer marketing. If you really want to get started, we have so much that we could talk about. What I do want to offer for those of you all that are interested is access to the K Club, where when I come back, because I am going on vacation, so the content that's going to be in there is going to be for my service-based girlies that are in there. But when I come back from vacation, week after next, we're going to build out some mini courses for influencers to not only work in these networks, but really go through contracts and understand them, teach you how to negotiate, even if you're working in a network, give you scripts for pitching, show you how to find opportunities in some of these places like Impact that are not just influencer campaigns, but could be campaigns that could be directly pitched. Just how to build a business overall using yourself as a content creator. And right now, it is available for only $7 a month through the end of March. If you decide to sign up, just use the code March25 at checkout, and that will give you access to the program for $7 a month for the entirety of the program. At March got 30 or 31 days. I don't know. The last day of March, that price will increase no lower than $47 a month. But for now, because it's brand new, we just launched it. We're giving you guys access to it at that cost. Outside of that, it has been amazing. It is Friday. I've got a crap ton of videos to create so that I can get them ready to go for you all. Next week, we will still be streaming. It won't be for an hour. It'll be for 30 minutes just because I'm on vacation and I don't have 5 hours to create pre-recorded videos. So we're going to stream for 30 minutes. If you have questions as those streams come up, just drop them in the comments. I'll review them when I come back and be back live to answer all of your questions. Thanks for hanging out with me today and participating, y'all. It's been a blast, and I will see you all next week, same time. Bye now.